Down the Rabbit Hole. Oh my gosh. I really check out Down the Rabbit Hole. I mean, just the research, how fast, they are. A lot of times down the rabbit hole, sometimes it's running circles around me.
Investigative YouTuber, serving all the receipts.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, Down the Rabbit Hole News. Yes, welcome. Miss Daisy's in the house as well. Let me get the screen going before I really get started here. Let's see. Who do I have here as well, member-wise? Let me greet everybody. Yes, hey Falcom, welcome. Pink Volo, welcome. Hey, how are you? Thank you for coming by. Gumby, welcome to you. What a treat, Rabbit. Yeah, still working on that other upload that I have to do. Okay, just so you guys are aware on Brooke Allensworth, but it's definitely the wait. Hey, worth the wait. Do the right thing. Welcome, Ebony Eyes. Look at all my people are coming in. Shout out to everybody. Please make sure that as you're coming in, you hit the like button. Where you're from. Are you international? If you're international, make sure you drop the flags that you're representing here in the chat. I love to see people kind of let me know where they're from so I can shout them out, because I love that about, us as YouTubers. You never know how far you can reach. So it's always kind of nice to see that. Hey, Scarlett, welcome. Billie Ho in jail. My love, you don't, it's a lot going on. Yes. Shauna, welcome. Susu, welcome. All right. We got some Canada. We have some, I know we have Canadians here. Shout out to all the Canadians. Texas, we have a lot of Texans in our channel. Mississippi, she says she loves my channel. Thank you, my love. Thank you. Oklahoma. Yes, welcome. Yes. Represent the flag. Hey, Cheryl, how are you? It's been a minute. Okay. Everybody, come on in, come on in. Okay, Oregon, Texas. Let me tell you, we have a lot of Texas here. Was it a couple days ago? We had like, I don't know, 7 people? I don't know. What did the granny get charged with? We don't know yet. I think it's like a hold that they put on her, which let me tell you guys something, and I'll get into this, but was it, I want to say maybe about 2 months ago, 3 months ago, that I had actually read the CPS report. It was leaked on Twitter, and we brought it over here and we talked a little bit about it. So we're going to read that CPS report again. It was a video that I had done. I'll make sure I put that video in the description box so you guys understand kind of what the issues are at hand. I think we can all agree that baby boy Quinton Simon has been failed. Hey there, welcome. Shout out to everybody from Rhode Island. As you guys are coming in, please hit the like button. Hey Angela, welcome. Oh my gosh, I straightened my hair and see now it's sticking out all funny. This is why I can't do the camera, guys. See? That's gonna bug me for a minute. See, now I gotta take it out. Can't do ponytails on straight hair. Welcome. Okay, Kentucky. Hey, Life Chaos. Welcome. All right, you guys hit that like button as we're coming in. And again, relax. Shout out to everybody from LA. Shout out to you guys. Hey, Memer the Lemur. Shout out to you. Thank you, Callie. All right, you're here. Shout out to everybody from the Facebook family. Shout out to you guys. Hey, Cloud. Welcome. Welcome. Yes. And make sure you hit that like button as you're coming in. Okay. This Quinton Simon thing, it's too much. It's a contempt of court, likely for a gag order violation. On the juvenile side, it's interesting, Heels. Shout out to you guys. Go check out Heels in the air. She's got like the best clip channels on YouTube as it pertains to a lot of these tragedy pimps. She gets them all. Hey, Juliet, welcome. And I'm looking at my other device. Guys, hey, Cassandra, welcome, guys. All right. This baby boy was failed massively. Hey, Cash, welcome, my love. In so many ways. And I'm letting you guys know, and it's, yeah, her arrest is probably not related to Quinton Simon per se. News say it has nothing to do with Quinton Simon. Probably not. But I think that this right here, like the lady has failed. She failed her own kids, guys. Okay. She failed her grandchildren, her own kids, and I think she knows it as well. I've been watching her for quite some time, her interactions, her body language in the camera. I think that she is just someone that covered up a lot. I think she knows a lot as far as what happened to Quinton, and hasn't really said it. Hey, Tamara, welcome, and Patty as well. I don't know. Hey, Bad Apple, right? She failed big time. She failed big time, and I think that she feels it. So I wanted to go back a little bit. Let's go back 2 months, 3 months when we were looking for Quinton. Okay, and I think what was it that was leaked? I want to say what was leaked was the paperwork, the custodial paperwork that was like about Quinton Simon that gave a history about who Leilani was and all the stuff that she was doing. Hey, Brianne, yes. So now you have mother, grandmother, Leilani in jail together, like they're together in a holding cell, or maybe they're actually together or separated. Yeah, yeah. Look at you guys in the comments. You guys are going in. Okay. Let me read this paperwork. Again, I read this about 2 months ago. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are in the comments as we're reviewing this stuff. And for those that are coming in, if you don't know the news, this maybe broke about an hour and a half ago. Billie Jo Howell, who's Quinton Simon's grandmother and the grandmother of the other Leilani children, has been arrested in Chatham County on a hold for the juvenile court system. We don't think, very likely, this is not related to Quinton Simon. So please keep that in mind. Very likely not related to Quinton Simon, but definitely a concerning. I don't think that somebody said it. I was like, maybe they're in the same cell. I highly doubt it. I highly doubt it. But yes, I don't know if she's still on suicide watch, but it was said, "Hey, Sheriff, welcome." She was arrested on contempt because she accidentally left an earbud in while she was in the court. Really? And this was juvenile court, right? This is I mean, but anyways, so I did read this paperwork 2 months ago, and I wanted to share it with you guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. This is what is highlighted as it pertains to the failure that this baby boy had under the care of Billie Jo Howell. To it. The date is in the right-hand corner of this report, October 14th. In the Juvenile Court of Chatham County, state of Georgia, in the interest of the two children listed, the order writes amended order transferring temporary legal custody following authorization for removal. It's an amended order, which means they have history in the agency for quite some time. Those kiddos have been removed before. That's what it sounds like. Sounds like that the department had custody at the time of maybe even closing the case or maybe even stepping out from the dependency and neglect case from the court. They would have given custody over to whether it's a kin or biological parent. In this case, it was grandmother. She took custody of those kiddos, a guardianship as well. Now, there's a difference, guys, very clear. Even though grandmother has custody, it doesn't mean that Leilani's rights as a parent were terminated. She could very well, rehabilitate herself and say, I don't want my rights, terminated. Just have my mom watch my kids, and I'll just, be in the house, and my mom can make and have the sole decision making over my kids, right? Something to be very clear about, because people get that confused between permanent custody to having your parental rights terminated. That does not sound like it was the case in this situation whatsoever. It doesn't sound like her rights were terminated whatsoever. But let's keep playing. Complaints. Thank you. Hey, Nana, Miss Daly's welcome, guys. Yeah, and Peg. Just so we were clear as to what custody looked like with Billie Jo Howell, okay? It just to give you guys a good idea. So this is the kind of stuff that, as somebody that, why is my phone ringing all the time? Sorry, guys. As somebody that was in that career for several years. I would see in court all the time. So it is not like, this is why I titled the thumbnail, was there a complete failure? In my opinion, I think so. I think that the system failed baby boy Quinton Simon. I think the family failed him. I think everybody failed him, period. So again, we're going to read this paperwork. I had read it like 2-3 months ago, but those that were wondering, well, what role did Billie Joel play in this? You will find out.
And an affidavit have been filed in this court indicating that pursuant OCGA 15-11-133A2, law enforcement removed the above referenced children from their home on October 12, 2022 at approximately 6:30 p.m. and an officer of this court authorized the removal of the children from the home and the placement of the children in foster care because the children were in imminent danger of abuse or neglect if they remain in the home. Removal of the children from the custodian was and remains necessary to safeguard the children's welfare. Continuation of the children in the home and or returning the children to the home would be contrary to the welfare of the children, and removal of the children is in the best interest of the children because a voluntary kinship care agreement with relatives became insufficient to ensure the safety and welfare of the children.
Yes, so this was on the siblings, and shout out to Level Headed. Definitely great channel. You guys got to go check them out. It Talks Baby Girl says here as well. Shout out to her, who's my member and my mod. It has been reported that Howell was arrested for contempt of court. However, her booking sheet appears to show that she is on a hold for juvenile court. So that's what I'm saying. I'm like, this is not necessarily pertaining to Quinton Simon, for those that are kind of wondering. No, I think this is a separate matter and issue. Okay, so just so you guys are aware, did grandmother have custody of Quinton at the time of his disappearance? That's the way they made it sound. Yes, she had custody of Quinton and of those other siblings. Okay, and so what happened was this paperwork, this motion was submitted, I believe, by the Department of Human Services once the police came out and said that the person of interest at the time was Ma, okay, Leilani. And so what they did, they said, you know, we got to submit this motion and get this removal done for these kids. So they went in and they removed the remaining of the siblings, right? And what they said was, Billie Joel is not a protective guardian or kinship for these kids. It's not. It's not. So what they did is they went in there and they took custody, and so custody of those siblings was given to the state. Okay, let's keep watching.
And by the way, in that report, I do not know. Oh, shout out to Sean Davy Way. Shout out to him, guys. Make sure you follow Sean Davy Way. Love you, Sean. Okay. To be very clear, let's go back a little bit. The report itself, and by the way, it was released by another true crime person. I'm not really sure. They did not redact the information that needed to be redacted. That would probably be my biggest thing. You guys got to understand, some of these documents, although they're public, out there, I would be very careful about releasing something as it pertains to kids. I'm always very hesitant about it because it's out there, right? And I don't know. I feel some type of way about it. But let me continue with what I'm going to say right now, okay? So the report itself, guys, I don't know. There's no periods whatsoever. So there's a lot of run-on sentence to this report. It's very long-winded report. So I'm having to kind of stop and just kind of analyze a little bit of what this, caseworker had to write, right? So she's saying here that, the removal is necessary, okay? They had to safeguard the children, all right? Because from the home, all right? Because at the time when they placed those kids there, they were with kin. And kin, let me go back a little bit. Voluntary kinship care agreement with relatives became insufficient to ensure the safety and the welfare of the children during a child death investigation. Keyword, sentence, during a child death investigation. So based on that sentence, and I was very confused by that, did they mean that the kids were fine, but then now there is a child death investigation and now they're not safe? When did they become unsafe? When the child went to, missing, disappeared, before, after? What was exactly that made them unsafe? Now, insufficient, I wonder if part of their permanent guardianship agreement at some point was that these kids were not going to be in supervision of their biological mother during the time that this might have happened. Okay? Just saying.
Ooh, mouthful. Yes, her arrest is not in connection with Quinton Simon's death and disappearance, but there is a no bond set for her. That's interesting. I'm just, yeah. And of course, I saw that too. It talks baby girl. I saw that too. Her arrest is in no connection. Yeah, why would a juvenile court have a hold on her? It's likely the child protection CPS court that has a hold on her, right? So CPS, I could see maybe something happened. Maybe I see, that's what I'm saying. Did she have visitation with these siblings and maybe she didn't turn them in? Somebody said that it was because of her headset. Maybe we're reading a little bit too much into it. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are in the comments. Let's go.
Right. I don't know who released the report. It talks baby girl. Right. The reports of matters like this are usually confidential. Even attorneys can't disclose those third parties. So this is what I wonder. It's out there. It was on Twitter. Okay, just to be exact. I'm not really sure who released it, but it's out there. It's a lot of stuff that's kind of coming out that we're trying to figure out, like, how are people coming up with this? But that being said, let me continue to what else it's being said here. Let me hit play real quick.
During a child death investigation, the children's siblings, Quinton Simon, date of birth listed, was reported missing on October 5th, 2022, based upon information obtained in the course of its missing child investigation. On October 12th, 2022, law enforcement notified Department Family Children's Services and the family it was proceeding with a child death investigation. The children and the siblings were living in a home with the mother, the youngkin father, and the maternal grandmother prior to the sibling disappearance. The mother is primary subject of the death investigation and the other household members as well as relatives.
Notice how it said, and it read, okay, that the mother's the primary suspect at this point in this investigation. The other household relatives as well. It sounds like they're looking at everybody, although they name mom as the primary at this point, at least, right? The one that's being, prime suspect. I'm not hearing that they're calling everybody else, but in this specific report, they are. I'm curious to know if and or who leaked it as well. Let's see. Ruby says, yes, exactly what it means. It means mandatory. When there's a death or missing of a child, needs to be removed. Yeah, Georgia, right? That they would need to remove it. But my thing is, Ruby, when did they decide to do this? Because this report, essentially, date listed was the 14th. Okay? It doesn't have a date. The judge looks like he signed this emergency custody thing on the 14th as well. So when did the department act? Before or clearly it was on the 14th. The investigation, she had already been named as a suspect, right? So did she have to be named a suspect in order for the kids to be removed? Or was it like, we're just, we're going to be doing this to cross our T's and dot our I's because we're the department of agency, such and such,
Hey, Bella. Welcome, Bella. Yes, this is why, and level-headed shout out to you because I know you did an outstanding interview. We definitely got to check that out at some point. But I'm kind of wondering as well, okay, the failure here, systematic failure. How many calls? Now I'm looking at this like, let me go look at CPS different. I want to know how many calls CPS got on Quinton Simon, on the babies, on the other siblings. Because if you guys remember the babysitter, more than one occasion she had said that. So now I'm kind of curious to know what's up with that. Just saying. As a retired deputy in Georgia with knowledge of the CRT process, the grandmother shouldn't have allowed the mother to have contact since the children were placed in her care, stripping them from an unfit parent. Right. What were the conditions of that guardianship? Right? What were the conditions? Was she always supposed to supervise him? Clearly, that petition said that these kids were drug exposed at birth, and they said that she could not be alone with these kids. But mother lived in the house with Billie Jo, so it's assumed the responsibility at this point would be under Billie, right? So she disregarded, and I'm sure just like CPS did as well, the many calls that were coming in, right? Curious. I know this is a hot topic, yo, but I just feel like complete failure all around.
Just thinking out loud, but let me go ahead and keep going.
Continue to be investigated for protective capacity. The mother is a chronic, unrehabilitated substance abuse user of cocaine and cannabis. She screened positive for and admitted use of cocaine and THC at the birth of the child, Sky. She has continued to screen positive for cocaine. The mother has been diagnosed with bipolar disorder and anxiety disorder, for which she has not been receiving ongoing mental health treatment. The maternal grandmother has a permanent guardianship order as to the child, Zane, pursuant to the documents from the Juvenile Court of Butte County.
And I'm only hearing permanent custody of one kiddo, not the other one. I believe the other one is the 5-month-old. There's a younger baby in here. So I'm only hearing that she has custody of one kiddo, not the other kiddo. But it sounds like they're all living under mom's house. So maybe the assumption was this, and I'm going to pretend that I'm the department, okay? The assumption is that they have a grandmother, okay, who already has custody of one kid, who is seemingly protective and making the right decisions for these grandkids and everything, right? Here is Leilani, who gives birth to another, okay? And so then she's kind of like, well, I'm the department. I'm saying, well, they're already taking care of each other. We're just going to ignore that other concern of there being any type of positive tests or anything like that, because grandmother's already there. She can take care of the other one, and we don't have to do anything. That right there, my friends, is what you call a system failure, that they didn't assess that, right, whatsoever, in my opinion. Let's see what else is being said here. Rabbit, do you agree with law enforcement on this point in this search? I don't know what I feel as far as law enforcement goes. I feel like they're doing a good job about saying less, but I also am concerned about all these other parties that are speaking. The now boyfriend who came on YouTube, or ex, I'm not really sure, who decided to speak, I guess, against Leilani. You have the babysitter. You have this video leak. This is becoming a shit show while we're still looking for this 2-year-old that's presumed dead. He's not even 2, okay? 20 months. He's presumed dead.
And again, this was a live that I did. Jesus Christ, when did I do this live? Oh my gosh. And this was a social worker's opinion and perspective. This was literally done about a month ago. Okay. So if you guys are interested in watching that, where we did a breakdown of the report. Yeah, this was about a month ago. And I'm giving you guys a perspective of somebody that has worked in the system for a little over 10 years. Okay. In addition to my other years in the community and stuff like that, the department tends to fail a lot here, in the sense that they think, well, okay, and this is happening a lot, where grandparents are becoming new parents, okay? And typically it's because like there's some other systemic stuff going on. Maybe the parents are locked up, or maybe there's mental health or substance abuse, whatever it may be. And so they're taking on this role. In Leilani's case, that's what it looks like. Billie Jo assumed this role. So instead of reevaluating, say a new call came in, Okay. And instead of the department reevaluating Billie Jo's capacity to take care of new baby or Quinton Simon or anyone, what do? Well, Billie Jo's a protective parent, and I'm talking like they would. Just letting you know, giving you guys some insight. Billie Jo's a protective parent. Therefore, she's got custody of the other ones. Let's just put them in together. Let's not, assess that situation. She's she seems like a good caretaker, not necessarily, and we don't even know if the department knew that mom was residing in the home, and we don't know the substance abuse and or issues that were going on in the home. It's my understanding that there were times where these kids were left unsupervised near the pool. So who's watching them? Who's assessing that? And that's where the department failed Quinton Simon. The inability to assess a caretaker, not just one time, whether it was a good closing of a permanency, custody, whatever, it has to continuously happen every time, especially if you don't know how Billie can protect her kids from those babies from her own child. That's where the system fucked up. I know it's a lot, but I'm just giving you guys a good idea of the ins and outs of how the system works. Okay, let's keep watching.
It's a shit show. I don't know what to think quite yet. What I'm consuming right now is what the department wrote. Was there a system failure within that department? Should they, like, if mom tested positive for substances while she was pregnant with the youngest one, okay, 5 months, 6 months is, guys, treatment is a lifelong thing for a lot of people. It was too premature to just give somebody custody and not try to figure out, well, what impact is it going to have if mom is around, and is mom still using, even though grandmother is a caretaker, is mom using in the presence of these kids? Because then now I'm questioning if the grandmother is in her protective capacities at this point. That's how you assess that shit. You determine whether grandmother is able to protect those kiddos while mom is in the house. That's how you assess that. You assess the impact. How protective is grandmother? And clearly, if she left the state to travel and left these kids behind to the biological mother, which clearly has history of using, grandmother isn't able to protect those kids either, and wasn't. I hope that makes things a little bit more clear. Let me know. And if I'm being too abrasive about it, it's because I'm pretty passionate about this topic. Yeah. You let me know, guys. You let me know. Hey, Nanya, everybody, welcome. I know everybody's just now coming in. We got 100 in the house. Shout out to everybody. Kelly Barnes says, please read the message above. There's a lot of messages.
All right, guys. Speaking of which, can you guys hit the like button? Do me a favor and hit the like button while everybody's here. We have close to 200 people in the house. Shout out to everybody. Yeah, so this was something that I talked about maybe about a month or so and a half ago. And I wonder too, I mean, let me know in the comments your thoughts about whether this was a complete failure in behalf of the department. We could look at the grandmother as being someone that, I mean, she did. They all failed this baby. But I'm talking about bigger. I'm talking about department. I'm talking about the things that we put our taxpayers' monies to, those services that where things are deducted from your paycheck. Was there a bigger department failure here? In my opinion, yes, there was. There was. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Let's keep watching.
Is Kelly? A lot of messages. Let me see. But it's not that they didn't care. The law requires the criteria to be met. Bingo. Okay. Although it appears to be something, there may not have been enough evidence to move. Could be. And that's the other thing too. Like the department, when they're removing kids and they're going to go to court, they're going to, take you to court. There has to be, what is it? Preponderance of the evidence, right? That's the key word. And Ruby, I know you're an attorney. It talks baby girl. Anybody else that's in the legal field, if you can chime into this, if you know family law pretty well. I mean, I worked in that arena for a couple years. There has to be a burden of proof. The department can't just go around taking people's kids, right? But now, since 2019, okay, 2019, when the Family First Service Prevention Service Act, the Families First Prevention Service Act was signed by then President Trump. It basically said to everybody and these agencies, you may need to make reasonable efforts with keeping kids home instead of taking them out, especially putting them in these expensive placements where they don't show there being any evidence of them improving in any mental health capacity or anything like that. It's about keeping people with kin. Now, back then, you would get the social worker and you had this, idea that the social worker would come and take your kiddo from the home. No, you have to make a reasonable efforts to return those kids if you take them, and also to keep them home by way of services, by way of treatment, but culturally, you have the Indian, the Child Welfare Indian Act, the ICWA law, okay, which really allows other tribes, local tribes, if you have an affiliation or if you identify with ICWA, to be part of that decision making as well, to hold those hearings. It's a lot. Okay, so when I hear people say it's system failure, we really have to comb through that to determine, was it system failure? How deep was it? Okay, and that's just my little soapbox, but let me keep going.
County, the maternal grandmother failed to provide adequate supervision for the child Zane by leaving the child Zane in the home in the care of mother, a person that maternal grandmother knew or should have known was unfit to provide proper care, while the maternal grandmother traveled out of state. The Georgia Department of Human Services, through the Chatham County Department of Family and Children's Services, made reasonable efforts to prevent the removal of the children from the home and to make possible for the children to return home, including.
Notice, okay? In a minute, I have the report here in front of my face, but basically going back a little bit, the maternal grandmother has permanent guardianship order as to the child, okay? Pursuant the documents, the maternal grandmother failed to provide adequate supervision to the child by leaving the child in the home in the care of mother. The person the maternal grandmother knew or should have known was unfit to provide proper care while the maternal grandmother traveled out of state. She left those kids to her daughter. She has custody. Okay. Clearly, that puts a little bit question mark on her judgment or her ability to protect, right? As a parent, can you protect your kids, right? Can you protect, whoever you're guardianing at the time, right? Like whoever you're taking care of. And that right there is questionable. But they're also living in the household with Leilani, and she's had this historic use of substances. My biggest question, if I'm the social worker in here, is I want to know how often, because I bet you anything, this is not the first time that she has probably left those kids with biological mother. It happens.
Without a shadow of a doubt in my mind, I said, that is not the first time that Billie Jo had done that. It's probably has happened a lot more. She probably had to travel. She had to do things that would make sense. Like, let's just be real. She did not make accommodations for those kids when she traveled. She had her child there who clearly should not have been watching those kids. See, she had custody of those kids. Evil One says, yeah, but didn't she leave them in her care, right? Weren't there two other people in the house or no? I don't know the details as to who she left them in care. The point where I'm coming from is those kids were in the physical custody of Billie Jo. That's my understanding of how that went. And if that is the case, it is Billie Jo's responsibility, and she has for those kids, right, Mama? She does. You can't argue against that. So I don't know. But will the court uphold that? I'm not really sure. I don't know what the court is going to uphold yet. because we're not even there yet. We're not in a trial yet. So we should have, well, to be determined. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of where we're at.
It's not the first time. If you're willing to you're leaving out of state. You're leaving out of state. It's not the first time she's done this. I could tell. She just happens to leave out of state and then this happened. Okay? So just let's be very clear about that.
Including consulting with law enforcement, utilizing voluntary kinship care agreements during the missing child investigation, attempting to verify the maternal grandmother's claim to permanent guardianship of child Zane and the sibling Quinton, confirming with the Cherokee Nations the children do not qualify as Indian children pursuant to the Indian Child Welfare Act, reviewing Child Protective Services history from other counties, as well as ongoing family preservation services cases. Previously providing the mother with substance abuse rehabilitation treatment following in utero exposure of the child Zane.
Definitely. I'm curious to know the same thing, Ruby. That's what I had asked earlier. I said, what was it? Because if you go back to specifically, there's a sentences here that says that the removal of the children from the custodian was and remains necessary to safeguard the children's welfare, continuation of the children in the home, and or returning the children to the home would be contrary to the welfare of the children, and removal of the children in the best interest of the children because a voluntary kinship care agreement with relatives became insufficient to ensure the safety and welfare of the children during a child death investigation. There is no periods in that whole paragraph. Okay, just letting you know. So the part where it says that the agreement became insufficient, I'm curious to know, Ruby, if that agreement was also submitted to the court when they were doing the filing of the permanent custody thing. I mean, I'm curious to know if there was an agreement. Like, was it in written? Like, was it in writing? Clearly, there was no safety plan once the department left, right? Like, the department is, if they give you custody, hey, they're done. They're not going to stay there and watch you have the custody, and at least they're not supposed to, right? Like, there's a certain time frame that after a dependency and neglect is closed, that they're done. They're able to close their, they've been dismissed from these hearings. They're done. They're able to go, okay, and close their case. They're able to do that. But I'm kind of curious to know what exactly the plan, the service plan was for them at that time. And I'm curious to know. And a lot of that would be independent review, and maybe the ombudsman's office of Georgia can look into this to figure out if there was an internal failure for Quinton, okay, for baby boy, to figure this out.
I stay stuck on this piece, guys, and I even reviewing this with you guys right now. I'm stuck on this. I feel like there needs to be, yes, I know we're Leilani and Billie Jo and the babysitter and who's at fault. I honestly, anything, as somebody that had worked so many years in the department, feel like there needs to be an internal review of this specific case. Not just overall, there needs to be a review, because what happened here, I feel like, was in so many ways this baby boy was failed, right? One thing, right? Yes, he might have been drug exposed born. That's what I'm assessing, and I feel like is happening. Billie Jo was another one, right? But overall, as a department, in social services, I think Georgia really failed this baby boy. They honestly did. And shout out to those that are coming in. Make sure you hit the like button. I see some people coming in here. Thank you guys for coming in. I did see Stephanie and who else? Coffee Addict, my member. Shout out to you. Who else? Who else did I see in here? AC Drake and Teacher was in here as well. And Cash, shout out to you. Somebody said in here, I think it was Coffee Addict, who said, I don't know. I just don't want to blame anyone without knowing the full picture. But either way, he was failed. And I'm pretty sure as things kind of go about, things will be developed. And there will be a development for sure. But I would put my money on it, guys. I'm telling you that the department here failed big time, because the way in which they acted as soon as Leilani was named as a suspect, they immediately went in. And then my other question was this: who the hell leaked that paperwork, because the paperwork pertaining to kids, especially in CPS, you don't typically find that. Somebody leaked that, and I almost feel like it was somebody within the family that leaked it on Twitter. To me, that says a lot as well, as far as how the dynamics is. Period. I don't know. What do you guys think? Quinton was missing, and Billie Jo was looking for someone to fix her pool. Right. Yeah, I saw that little Twitter posting thing. I remember that. So many children that fall through the cracks. This needs to stop. How many more children have to pay for the ultimate price for their others' failures? Absolutely, Jody. Shout out to Jody. Thank you, Jody, for saying that. Absolutely. You think it was the families. It is crazy. But it definitely does leave kind of everybody wondering, you know? I don't know. But let's keep watching this.
I think it deserves it and it warrants a review for sure. Let me see what other comments. I don't want to skip ahead. If the department seeks to legally remove a child, they must file a petition. Yep, absolutely. They have to file a petition if they're going to, take your rights or anything. You can do, there are times like specifically to cases where, say, your kid is out of control. We've seen a lot of that, right? They call them like youth in conflict. Say your youth is in conflict. They're beating everybody up. They're breaking the law. They're beating you up. They just thrown everything out, right? You're able, sometimes depending on the state, you're able to sign like a 90-day voluntary placement, which means is that you're actively going to work with the department on a voluntary basis for 90 days, to have your kiddo placed. Say they go in a treatment center or something like that while you guys are working together. If it goes over 90 and, depending on the agency administration, they might, approve for more time, but anything after that usually means that they're going to have to file a dependency and neglect case to figure out who's at fault, what's going on, create a treatment plan, court supervised treatment plan, so that everybody can be kind of like on an even playing field. But yeah, and make sure, guys, I got so many people in here. The topic is pretty dense and deep. I don't ask you for anything but hit the like button, okay? If this is kind of the content that you guys like, it's very interesting. I get it, but it is very complicated to explain.
I said that about a month and a half ago, and I'll say it again. This topic right here, people will they still call me, right? They'll call me and be like, explain to me how this works, or the system this way, or how do we go, especially parents that are in the system, right? Because it does happen. You know what? You are not, shit happens, guys, whether, your kid falls or something happens, within the family, or your kid is out of control. Shit does happen within families. And so it's always good to, if you know somebody that's a resource, especially and knows the system very well, you gotta keep them, okay? And it's a very dense topic for sure. I don't have grandkids yet, but I'm a granny to 3 dogs. Oh, shout out to your 3 dogs. I have no issues punching my kid in the face and taking my baby away from them. I have no issues punching my kid in the face and taking my baby away from them. You mean like if your child was an adult child at this point? I'm sure you don't mean like younger, right? Um, but you know what, Evil One, here's the deal. In that case, this Leilani was not like, she wasn't 18, and even then, because I mean the girl was having babies, you know what I'm saying? You're at the house, you're doing drugs, like, to a certain degree it's kind of like you can figure this shit out on your own, Leilani. You don't have to live in my house where I'm raising your children, Leilani. You either get treatment or get it together. But I kind of wonder too, doesn't it make you a little bit like the enabling that might have been happening here? And not to say, I'm just going to say allegedly, but we don't know what Billie Joel's own stuff looks like. How do we know that they weren't like two peas in the pod? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. Billie Jo should have packed up those kids, looked at them to the babysitter, and when she came back, she went and picked them up. She should have never let them in the care of that drug addict. That's Shauna. That's the problem. That's the problem right here. That's why that petition is so important. Okay. And I think it's going to play a huge role later on when they go to trial and everything. That's a huge, huge thing right here is access. Okay. Was Billie Jo protective of her kids that she was taking? Probably not. Probably not. She probably, she left out of state. Like I said, I don't think it was the first time that she had done that. Highly doubt it. Highly doubt it. Let me see where you guys are at. Codependency is huge, guys, in families. Yes. Thank you, Kathleen, for mentioning that. Thank you for saying that. Yes. Thank you. And if you're enjoying the content, please hit the like button. Like I said, it's a very dense content. Family isn't always best place for kids because Billie Jo wasn't fit to have custody. Athena, you're absolutely right. People, and that's where the system, that's where CPS, that's where these social workers, that's where these people have to come in and assess the situation. Was Billie Jo, not Billie Joel, Billie Jo, the best caretaker? Probably not. Probably not. Who made that call? Who assessed it? Who did it? Did she cover for her child? I still remember that video where Billie Jo and the babysitter were at it and they were talking about memorial service. Did you see how she got in her face? I said, yo, was that really necessary? Probably not. Probably not. I don't know, guys. I don't know. Should have drug tested frequently. When a mom and a kid party together, they always have issues, teacher. Look, I don't think that there's anything wrong, not that, my mother doesn't party, but if she ever said, let's go have a drink, I don't see there's anything wrong with that. But there's a difference for sure. There's a difference to what was going on. I'll tell you, I know a lot of you guys wouldn't be partying while there's a search for your missing kid happening, right? And like I said, I don't like to parent shame people whatsoever, but in this specific situation, it's a little bit different, right? It hits a little bit different. I don't know. How could it be the first time when her job involved traveling? Thank you, Peg. Peg, you take the crown today. This is why I said what I said. It is not the first time that Billie left that child, Quinton Simon, and the other ones under the care of Leilani. Not the first time. Couldn't have been. Highly doubt it. Highly doubt it. She says, Lady Webbs, I'm late, but I believe if you are granted temporary guardianship and you're negligent, put the child in danger by 1,000%, they need to be held accountable and charged if needed. Absolutely. Billie needs to be charged. She does. And the department needs to review that case. They do. And the ombudsman's office needs to know about it. They sure the hell do. To me, this was failure all the fuck around. And I say that with the F word, capital it. All the fuck around. Failure, 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 failure. All over. All over. Period. Yes, boundaries should be set. I'd be home destroyed if I'm Nana. Me too. Me too. There's a huge difference in having a few. That's right. Brianne's like, listen, there's a huge difference. I don't know about partying with my mom, because she doesn't. But it would be a little bit interesting, though. I would agree with that. But let's keep watching.
I'll tell you that much. Having had to explain people, when I've worked with people who have had their rights terminated or they're going to court, and explaining to them the process is very hard. I can only imagine 100 or 80 plus strangers here on the chat trying to figure out what does this all mean, right? So I would ask you, please hit the like button. I don't ask you for much other than hitting the like button. And let me see real quick. Thank you. Thank you for those that are hitting the like button. Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay. So let's see what other. Thank you. Native families are 4 times more likely to have their children removed and placed in foster care compared to white families, according to the National Indian Child Welfare Association. Absolutely. This right here is it. It's so true. The child welfare system is made up by a lot of kids that, you're talking about all kinds of cultures, and it's just the majority of them are Native American, Black, Hispanic, Latino. You can look this up in the Child Welfare Gateway website to stay informed on that. It's out there. There's a lot of research that supports just disparages in placement and whatnot. Yes. Let me see what else. That is a standard sense. Jesus, a CPS worker cut and paste. Yes. And by the way, That's very true. So I worked in CPS many, many years. Okay. I did some federal work as well. And I could tell you this, the language in these reports are similar to other reports. Why? Because what happens is that you have a group of attorneys that represent the department. They write these reports, okay? And there's a specific type of language that is accepted by the court that these attorneys want you to use because they're going to be there to represent the department when the case is going in front of the court. So it's a lot of copy and paste that happens. It's very rare, okay, to find somebody that can actually know how to write a report from scratch. It just takes a lot of training. A lot of these agencies don't hire social workers. They don't hire, they'll hire somebody with a teaching degree to do a social worker's job. The system is a mess, okay, to say the least. So that just tells you a little bit of that. But yeah, they're very standard reports. One thing she said, the report said reasonable efforts in that sentence, and I'll go back a little bit. It said something to the effect of like the Georgia Department of Human Services through the county department, blah, 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 made reasonable efforts to prevent the removal of the children from the home to make possible for them to return to home while consulting law enforcement, utilizing volunteer kin care, agreements during visits, missing child. Okay, so that right there, you can't just go up and decide, I'm going to take these kids. You have to have a judge sign it. It's a judge order. You're facing a magistrate. If you have to have an emergency hold on a kid, you call the judge and you say, Magistrate so-and-so, Magistrate Rabbit, I'm here. There's an issue with this kid. The parents are drug exposed. This child is drug exposed. We need to remove this baby. Da 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 da. You talk to the judge, and then they sign the order. You see the judge within, I think, 72, if not 48 hours, just depending on the state. Every state is different. Okay, you see the judge, and then you bring your argument to the court, and you tell the court, like, listen, this is what's going on with this kiddo. This is what's going on with the situation. We had to remove or not remove, depending on what the situation is. One thing they're going to ask you always is, what efforts did you make to prevent? Because we're trying to prevent kids from being separated from families. And this is why the report says, we offered the mom drug treatment. We offered her we wanted kin services to volunteer.
Yep.
Okay. We're in the community. We talked to law enforcement.
Yep.
That is pretty standard of any CPS report that's going to be facing
Sure
a court.
is.
It's pretty standard writing. So yeah, as far as what Ruby said is very much accurate. Everybody here, absolutely. The system is broken, Michelle. Very much so.
Let me answer some questions here. Lady Webb's asked, and I think this is a very good question. She says, what happened to these CPS workers that put children in unfit homes or don't follow up on the kids? So what happens is there's federal reviews for each agency, right? So a CPS worker, depending on the state and jurisdiction and stuff like that, is mandated while the case is open and there's custody or supervision over that, is mandated to supervise the homes, right? And their contact is supposed to be documented in a system that the state uses. And it's usually just, right now it's just state by state. It's not nationwide, right? So like somebody, I think it was Itzhak's baby girl, who brought up a really good point about Gabriel Hernandez. If you guys have watched that Netflix Gabriel Hernandez, the trial of Gabriel Hernandez, that, my friends, is I hate the case. I hate it. I could not finish it because it was so horrific. But right there was not only a complete system failure, but a community failure, because he was placed under parents, and they had supervision over him, right? And he was being physically abused daily to the point of his death. Okay. The baby boy died while in the supervision of CPS under the care of the parents. Okay. So no, yes. When that happens, you can get charged as a CPS worker. You can lose your job. I actually know of somebody that they said they lied on their reports and said that they actually had seen this baby that was killed under the care of parents, newborn baby, right? They said that they saw it. They lied in their notes And come to find out that the social worker, never actually went there and saw the baby. Baby was dead. She was criminally charged. So yes, you run the risk, if you like lie and omit shit, to being incarcerated as well, losing your job, being fined, all of it. Absolutely. Yes. So it does happen. But anyways, let me keep going, guys, because I know I'm going off on a tangent. I'm familiar with the case where a woman adopted a child who was severely abused. She tried to sue CPS for him. CPS has an art of writing orders that make it impossible to hold them responsible. Yes, Patty. Yes, Patty. It's a lot. It's a lot, but they do lie. They do lie. Yes. And this was somebody that I knew very well. Okay. So can you imagine, social workers go to school for so many years, and she basically threw her whole career away over lying, saying that she's seen this baby. This baby was dead. Okay. And it was reported, and she herself faced some jail time over that.
Yep. It's sad that reunification efforts just document that the parents progress, compliance, and review every 90 days. Not much that they can do to grandma. It's the mom that loses the time at the review. Good point. Good point. Billie Jo should have told CPS she was going away and wanted to give her daughter a chance. She knew the babysitter would have. Oh, Catherine, right, Catherine? It's a very unfortunate situation. Kathy P says, once permanency was ordered by the court, that closes the case. The kids, because the foster parent remained permanent guardianship. Well, yes and no. Okay. If they're receiving any type of kin service, like money or whatever, like they could probably have like a caseworker or a kin worker, but it's not like CPS is supervising your case anymore. So good point. The other thing too is that, and I'm telling you guys, just because grandmother was permanent guardian doesn't mean that Leilani's rights are terminated. Okay. Just to be very clear about that. People get that confused. It doesn't say that her rights were terminated. It doesn't say that she has no rights over these kids. I mean, she could petition the court and could have said, listen, I want my kid, if she had, would have gotten her shit together, right? Clearly she very young and whatever is going on with her mind. And clearly not well and or unfit to take care of these kids. Mona says the grandmother did wrong and should have never lived the kids like she did. I say she's guilty as well, Mona. I mean, I would agree. I also think that the failure, as I'm reading this report, comes from the department as well. I hold them accountable to something because, like I said, I don't know how quick they just decided to close and then give custody. They only talk about having custody of one kid. Their grandmother had custody of one kid. Who has custody of the baby, of the minor?
Yes, ma'am. That was my concern, is who had custody of the other kiddos. Bodine 68 says, is a guardian ad litem. A guardian ad litem is an attorney that typically, and I'm assuming you're a GAL for minors. I mean, you could be a GAL for adults, but she's a guardian ad litem in Florida. My heart is broken for the breakdown from the another department failure. Yes, absolutely. Yes. So a GAL, a guardian ad litem, is an attorney. And typically you have a lot of GALs when it comes to juvenile cases, kids, CPS. They're typically assigned one, and they're there to represent the best interest of the child that's involved. Okay, even the parents get attorneys as well during a dependency and neglect. You're not an attorney, but you work with the attorneys. Okay, perfect. In some cases they're attorneys, in some cases they're not. Looks like you are not. Perfect. Thank you. Let me keep playing.
We don't know. So, and they're talking about she was pregnant and she was drug exposed and all this other stuff. So what were they doing about the youngest one? Was the youngest one drug exposed? That's how I read that, but let's continue.
Providing an update, substance abuse assessment and rehabilitation, treatment following in utero drug exposure of the child, Sky, and requesting drug screening of the mother. It is therefore ordered pursuant to OCGA 15-11-135A that to protect the children, temporary legal custody of the above referenced children be transferred to the Georgia Department of Human Services. It is further order, the custodian is authorized to obtain physical examination. The date is
Okay. And I did not finish the entire report because it was like, they're ordering the department to make sure that the children have, physicals, and they have medical decision making, because they have, legal custody and physical custody of the children, and they should have custody of, decision making over medical stuff at this point if they're given that much custody. Absolutely. So
Yes. So let me know what your guys' thoughts are in the comments. I know it's a lot. My question to you, and I know you guys say yes, it's a complete failure. We don't really know the details as to why she was held and everything, but I wanted to show this was maybe about a month ago that I did that video to give you guys some perspective. Excuse me, on it. But let me know what you guys think about it. I know that it's a lot. A lot of us were surprised by the news. I have a feeling that a lot more will be coming on. I'm trying to see if I can go to Twitter real quick and see, because Twitter is always on it as far as Billie Joel. And shout out to Level Headed. He shared our I'm looking at Twitter. He just shared our stuff on Twitter. Shout out to him and his sharing. Guys, check out his channel as well. Let me see if you're into true crime. Here it is. Let me see if I can find you guys something. Thank you, Level Headed, for sharing. Much love to you. Okay, here we go. I'm looking at this woman, guys, and she just looks so broken. You know what I'm saying? Welcome, Kathleen, to the membership. Welcome, welcome, my love. Look, like, I don't know. I feel like she knows more than what she's saying at this point. Okay. And I really do hope that if she cared for her children, like, do right by Leilani at this time. You know what I'm saying? Because she's going to be in there. If she's found guilty, she'll have her day in court, all that other stuff. But I mean, I just hope she does right by everything at this point, because, lady, it's a failure, not just by the family, but by the department, period. Okay, just watch the video with the family member on saying that BJ was in juvenile court. She was arrested there for contempt. She did something that ticked the judge off. It was about the two other kids. Okay, there you go. We knew she would have to have gone to court over that. So now I'm just kind of curious, guys. But anyways, guys, look, anything pertaining to kids kind of gets to me a little bit. I always like to step back a little bit when it comes to kids, because it's just so heavy. And if I could tell you the shit that I've seen, guys, I've seen way too much. And I have a little bit of my own PTSD. And it's when things like this is when I tell you guys, you got to put the phone down. Okay.
Time to put that phone down. Time to put that phone down.
Time to put the phone down. Okay. There's this is horrible that's happening, right? And so it's time to put the phone down, relax. Some of this stuff I just got to walk away sometimes. But let me go ahead and shout out the new member. Thank you so much for your support as well. Let me do a little rabbit twerking to welcome you to the membership. This is for you. Yes, you got to walk away. Even Chico says, look, when it comes to this stuff, it's too much. I don't even have kids. I just have a dog. And I can only imagine these families go through. Absolutely. You have to put this ish away. Shout out to you, Chico. Yes, put it away. Put the phone down, because it does make you a little, to me especially, it gets to me in a different way. I just see so much stuff, guys. If I could tell you, I have PTSD from it. So yes, get away from it. Anyways, guys, I'm going to have to head out. I hope you guys have a great rest of your evening. Please make sure you hit the like button, and I'll see you, because you guys know I got some more content for you. It's going to be mañana. It's going to be a long day for me tomorrow. Okay, so I got to rest. All right, bye, guys.